And as 2015 comes to an end, we begin to look at the year that was. Today, we want to shine a spotlight on the top economic stories of the past 12 months. And who better to help us than I-24 News economy correspondent Daniel Roth. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning.
So interesting stuff, from China anti-terror law to economy.
Yes. Well, the year's not over, so we've got a couple of days for the biggest story to still reveal itself. We don't know. But assuming nothing big changes, oil. Oil is the big story of the year. Hands down, no questions asked. In the last 18 months, oil's lost 60% of its value, 38% this year, just this month. So how much was it? It was 13% this month.
It's a massive amount. I mean, consumers are happy, but what's the reason for all this?
Well, so there's multiple reasons. The biggest reason, though, by far the biggest reason, is that America, the United States of America, is now producing oil, or really shale gas, but they're producing fuel, and they're really flooding the market, and OPEC hasn't really responded, and Russia's economy, which is very, very based in oil exports, hasn't really responded. Even Canada, which was a growing oil exporter, was failing to diversify its economy. So the United States pushing shale gas into the market has essentially put the Gulf states, Russia, Canada, a number of other states on ice right now, and they're all looking and confused and don't know what to do, and all of their economies are slowly crumbling. Some of them quicker, like the Russian economy, where the ruble has lost enormous value. The Gulf states are still doing okay, but Saudi Arabia, which subsidizes oil, gas 90% for citizens, starting to think about cutting down on that. It's a huge deal, and we always say follow the money when we're looking for the big stories. This is the money. This is, it's at the base of, some argue really at the base of all of the geopolitics, all of the conflict, all of the climate change issues. This is it, the ebb and flow of oil.
Absolutely. And we have a soundbite on this issue as well, don't we? Let's listen.
As we've seen already in the last 6 months of 2014, fundamentals were quite weak. Not just on the supply side, the growth in supply has been outpacing growth in demand, but the demand numbers have also been revised downwards by IEA continuously since the mid of last year. And we are in 2015 now, where we're expecting some weakness emanating particularly from Eurozone as well as from Russia. Russia because of the banking sanctions, and Eurozone because of the deflationary risks out there.
Wow. Okay. So oil, you think it'll fall even more?
Absolutely. I mean, this is someone talking at the end of 2014, early 2015. So it's only really to say, look, a year ago, 12 months ago, we were already 6 months into this story, and it's just going down. Goldman Sachs recently suggested that oil may hit $20 a barrel. Right now, it's trading at, yesterday it was $38 a barrel. Now, just in case people aren't aware, 18 months ago, it was up at about $120 a barrel.
Wow, yeah. I mean, you can see it at the gas stations as well. I mean, you can see the prices just dropping.
Yeah, in some countries. In other countries, the tax is shaved off the top, haven't shrunken, and so they're sort of saying, well, it's a good government income. If we're getting oil for less, it's easy breezy. But it can't be overstated how big this story is, and if people aren't already noticing and watching it, it's there.
It is there. So what other stories do we have for 2015?
Number two, and if that's following the money, number two is following the people. And, because we live in capitalism, we always focus on money before people. Little economy joke. Not really a joke, but refugees. Refugees coming into Europe. Now, already this year, we hit 1 million refugees coming into Europe, primarily from Syria, due to the conflict there. The economy story is that these two sides of the argument, refugees will cost a lot of money. It will depress the economy of whatever country is trying to take them in. We have to find shelter and find jobs and food. Well, actually, all of the numbers indicate that this is patently false.
Really?
That bringing in refugees, and depending on who you're looking at, the numbers say that there's going to be 3 million by 2016 or 2017's end, depending on who you're looking at. Everyone, though, agrees that the countries that do take in refugees, the countries that are affected by this crisis, will see a bump up in GDP of between 0.2% and 0.5%, depending on the number of refugees.
Well, I find that surprising. Is that surprising generally?
It's not when you look at actually what it means. What does it mean to take in a refugee? It means to take in a new person with new passions and new dreams and new skills and new opportunities. At the end of the day, that's what it means. And in Western countries, there are programs that get people off their feet, or rather on their feet, get them started in the communities that they're living in. But then they're usually on their own. The United States has a pretty fairly revered refugee program, and that's sort of how they work. And again, across the board, you see innovations, you see growth, you see really diversification. And as I said before in the first story, the oil story, the key to not having a depressed economy because one country decides to pump out a lot of fuel is to diversify. And really, when you're talking economics, having more different people is very, very good.
So that is some good news. And what about the gig economy?
The gig economy. So this is the economy of the sharing economy, the gig economy, Airbnb, using your apartment to host people like a hotel would, or using your car for Uber to be a driver. This is a growing economy. In the United States alone, between 2000 and now, 22% growth in 1099s. These are the tax forms you file when you're an independent contractor. So we're seeing actually regular jobs stagnate and gig jobs grow. Now, the big deal, the big issue with this is that a lot of these companies, Uber, for example, doesn't treat their drivers as employees. They treat them as contract workers, no safety, no security.
But it's, it's good news that people can make money in a different way now. It's a clever way to gain some profit. Well, Daniel, thanks so much for being here this morning.